to The Week Ahead, an SBM Intelligence podcast. I'm your host, Judy Gaya, and every Saturday we look at some stories shaping our continent. First up, a troubling development in Nigeria's security architecture. Recent attacks on the Civilian Joint Task Force, CJTF, have left many dead. Is the CJTF adequately equipped for the fight against insurgency? Next, we shift gears to the economic sphere, where a supposed deal with shipping giant Maersk has caused a wave of confusion. Is this just a misunderstanding or something more concerning? How will this decision impact on Nigeria's attractiveness to other investors? Finally, we head west to Ghana, where a sweet commodity is turning bitter. Cocoa prices have skyrocketed, raising concerns for consumers worldwide. We'll explore the reasons behind this surge and what it means for your next chocolate bar. Join me for in-depth analysis and expert insights on these critical stories is Stanley Ikechukwu, Head of Operations at SBM Intelligence. Welcome, Stanley.
Thank you, Judy.
All right. So the first
Welcome.
thank you. So the first story we'll be looking at is the CJTF. Recent reports states that 23 CJTF members were killed in Borno and Sokoto. So I guess the first question is going to be, do you think that the CJTF is adequately equipped and well-trained to actually be participating in counterinsurgency operations?
Okay, Judy, thank you for your question. So I'll take it like this. Local intelligence is very important. The CJTF, the Civilian Joint Task Force, let's even call it what it is, they are ill-equipped, they are under-trained, they don't have what it takes, to go head to head with an insurgent group like this one and the other terrorist organization around it, Boko Haram and the like. They are not. Now the problem is the ambush that happened. They got intel. So it's one thing to get intel. It's another thing to be able to work on your intel, because you can also get intel from the wrong person. People who are planning to ambush you can send you an intel in disguise, and if you do not properly check or scrutinize that intel, you might just get into the wrong hands. Take for instance in Lagos State, say around Yaba area, there's a police station called Denton. Denton Police Station to Adekunle, that's Mansi Police Station. It's just something around 1.6 kilometers. It's not far. One can actually take that kind of walk. Then compare with the civilian JTF in Borno State, who were traveling from Borno to Maiduguri. That's a long distance. So they are not very used to all the whole terrain. That's why there's always jurisdiction when it comes to security issues. This is your area, you manage, the area. It's an expand of land. It covers a couple of kilometers. I mean, it could be 1,000 or more kilometers. Then somebody else has this other jurisdiction where it covers also. So you are local, you understand what is happening there. If you have to move from here to another distance location, you call people there and let them know, look at what is happening. We've got this intel. Can you help us verify? It makes sense that way, rather than just move from where you are without proper investigation, just got ambushed. It's quite unfortunate. This is also what we're saying. We've been talking about local policing for a very long time. This is also local policing in a type of way. Now, I think the state government should begin to look at things the way it is and set their priorities right. Security is very key to the success and growth of any economy. Very important. If your state or your environment is insecure, of course investors will not move in. Things cannot be stable. the first role of the governor, of anybody in charge, is to make sure that he provides security for goods and services and individuals. This clearly shows the priorities of most of those governors. You come out, campaign for election, and at the end, you cannot face security heads on. Okay, tell me that federal government is, or rather the police, it's a federal control thing, yes. But the state also has power to legislate and create their own type of vigilante group. We saw it happen. Amotekun Southwest, they came together, made a law in their various House of Assembly and passed it. And that law and that those legislation became law. That was how Amotekun was able to emerge. Now you bring them in with the police so that they can get proper training and proper guidance. We also saw it happen in the southeast, Ebubagu. There was a law that made it possible for them to also cater for. This is not federal's hand to it. The federal hand is why you then make it the local police. But I'm saying that the states can actually do something about it rather than wait and say, oh, it's the federal government who controls the police, who controls the army and the likes. So that's by the way. If you ask me, I would have just said that the governors should localize these vigilantes, bring them closer to the general or the center policing structure. Let them work with the police very well, proper training, give them the right weapons. You're going heads on with terrorists who have access to all the type of ammunitions, the RPG, the rocket launchers, the bombs and the like. With what? What weapon are the civilian JTF going about with? At most AK-47. So that war was already won before. The civilian JTF really do not stand plenty of chances. I think I'll drop the mic at this point.
Okay. Thank you for this insight in analysis. Okay, so I think you've answered the questions I would have asked subsequently. So I think it's safe to say we move to the next story, which is the Maersk shipping story, surrounding the issues surrounding the fallout between Maersk and the federal government. By now, I'm sure you know the fine details of that story. My question is, how do you think the fallout between Maersk and the federal government will affect Nigeria's image before other investors? Now, just shortly after Maersk's denial that it had a deal with the federal government, Qatar Energy pulled out its investment or its intention to invest with Nigeria. Now, do you think other investors would follow suit? And how will that impact on Nigeria's economy?
Okay, thank you, Judy, for that question. But we'll look at things the way it is and say things the way they are meant to be said. We know that when countries are in trouble like this, there are usually some type of investment that are hot investments. That when you bring your money in, you would cash your money out. They say the right time to invest is actually when there's crisis. That one is one fact on the ground. Now, the Danish company Maersk and the federal government's deal, it's always been propaganda for this APC administration. We've heard something, we've seen something like that happen before, maybe I think a couple of months ago with the Emirates airline and the likes, when the president actually paid to visit his counterparts in Dubai. And he stated that, they lifted the ban on Nigeria, blah, 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 that Nigeria signed a deal with, made so many interesting promises, which the Emirates were like, we're also surprised. I don't think this is what we discussed. But, we know the APC propaganda is there too. So where the problem then lies is that most of us, or most people have come out to say, this government is not even legitimate enough. The total number of votes that this present administration received that brought them into office is not enough when you compare it to the total number of people that didn't vote for him. So it clearly shows that there's a distrust somewhere in between. What this government should actually be doing is to come clean and tell Nigerians what it is and how it is, rather than trying to sell, sensational stories in a bid to gather, love and affection. No, that's not going to happen. You know. Now let's go back to what I said about business is business. Would it dampen the spirit of other investors who are interested to come in? Like I said, it's difficult doing business in Nigeria now, but people who understand it are coming in and they are bringing in their money. An investor's aim is to come in there, make his money, and leave. Now, the this present administration has shown what it's capable of doing. I mean, it can manipulate stories and put it out there. So any investor who's coming in should and actually prepare their mind to understand that, oh, this type of government, this is how they like to sell their story. So this is how we were also going to play. And let's not forget, at this critical point, any investor that the federal government is reaching out to is more of a golden investor because Nigeria actually needs this money. Nigeria needs this investment. So these investors can actually come in with their own condition. I'm not saying they should bring, the worst of condition, but they could ask for certain type of, security, attach it around the document and say, when we come in, I hope you make sure this is always readily available. You have those agreements, and when you fail to provide us with, the enabling environment and this, we'll not pay your tax. So that both parties can sit down, the government can sit down and say, if we don't do the right thing, we already signed an agreement that these people have said they will not pay taxes. I don't know if it's feasible, but I like to think as an investor, I'll come in from that angle to secure my investment. For the Qatar energy company, I really do not know, why they pulled out. It could be the propaganda story, or it could be some other reasons. We'll just wait and see, maybe in the next couple of days or weeks, if the reason is connected to, the shipping company saga. Yeah. So that's my take on
Okay.
this issue.
Okay. So the next question is how the issue created by the Maersk situation, do you think that it can be salvaged by using true diplomatic channels, to see if the deal can still be on the table, or do you feel that that ship has sailed?
Well, in politics and in government and in governance, you never can say never. You So enemies can turn friends. If their interest aligns. So I really cannot say that ship. I really would not want to say that that ship has sailed or it could be salvaged. It is possible. They could use the foreign policy process to save the situation, or if the interest is there, yes. But again, the shipping company is already wary about this kind of story, this kind of news. So they would want to rethink if if at all they really want to invest in Nigeria again.
Okay. Then I think the last question for our next story would be a bit more political. It's concerning the leaks. The Tinubu administration seems to be plagued by leaks and information disorder. Now, do you feel it's a sabotage of the government by those within it who do not like the person in power, or do you feel it's simply an issue of miscommunication?
My take is both. I feel both. I feel it's sabotage, and I also feel it's incapacity. Incapacity. So if we look at the administration clearly, since they came into office and up to now, with about 40, 48 ministers. I really cannot point out that say more than two ministers who we think have been able to do something in each of their ministries. And that's say Tunji Ojo, the Minister for Interior. When he came in, we saw some policies they put in place so that passports will not take forever to renew. The Nigerians in diaspora have actually looked at it and said, oh, I went to the passport office and in 5 days my passport was ready. It was good. It was something that we have the capacity to do, but people have deliberately made sure that some things just do not work. So I give him kudos. There's been improvements even down here locally at various passport offices. It doesn't take forever again to get your passport. Then I mean, the minister has also granted us plenty of public holidays in the last few weeks, from Salah to Easter. And they said the Salah, they didn't see moon, so they had to give us 1 day extra again, which for me, I think workers needed all the holidays to rest. Then on the other side, where I said it is, no, the other minister is um, Festus Keyamo, Minister for Aviation. So I don't want to give him so much of praise, but yeah, but again, we've seen some moves in the aviation industry that saw that Air Peace can now lift, from Nigeria to London, breaking the barrier for monopoly of other foreign airlines. And you cannot actually connect this thing to the reason that the Qatar deal was because, or the Qatar break of the Qatar story was because they had trapped fund in Nigeria. So most of these airlines have their money trapped in Nigeria and they cannot recover their money at the moment. And airline business is not cheap. Most of the airlines are on loan. They buy everything ahead of time. So they need money at all. They need cash flow. And you're here tying down their money, telling them stories, and you say they should not, look for alternatives. I think that's the reason why they also increased cost of airlines for Nigerians, because what it will take you from Lagos to London is far higher than what will take you from Ghana to London. So the improvements, I know Alan Oyema won't have been able to do all that alone without at least having some type of government support. Even though he came out to say, "Oh, he didn't get the kind of support he'd have wanted," but we still saw, Festus Keyamo, make one or two things happen for him. So that's on the side of competence. This government, aside these two people I've called, I've not seen anything anybody has done. Where's the Minister of Finance? Just left the whole works for Cardi B. That's the CBN governor, pardon me. Where are the other ministers? We're not seeing anything. Everything is slow. It's stagnant. If you ask me, I'll say no offense, but most of the people who they made minister are just unproductive. Many of them are because they helped us win elections, so let's compensate them for it. They're not technocrats. Many of them don't even know what they are supposed to do. Can you imagine the security angle? I think the Minister for Defense or so, the former Zamfara state governor. A governor, someone who was governor, and under his time as governor, Zamfara was a no-go area. Somebody who couldn't save the situation. You still made a Minister of Defense to defend what? You say that this guy is not capable to do this kind of job, and you still give him why? So most of the appointment that we've seen is political, is compensation. So when you then find this kind of level of incompetence about having leaks of memo and the likes, is just what it is. Then when I said it's sabotage, we need to also talk about the number of people that didn't vote for him, as President Tinubu, are more than the number of people that voted for him. So even inside the civil service there, people tend to, shift towards a type of political party that they like their governments. So those people won't waste time to want to sabotage some of what present administration is doing. I'm not saying this for a fact, but I feel that something like that, can happen and has always happened, or it is what is. That's what's currently happening at the moment. Yeah. So that's my take on it.
Okay. Then we move over to Ghana, where the cost of cocoa is on the increase, and it would appear Ghana is also facing shortages or low yields in cocoa production due to diseases that have ravaged the plantations. So my question is, um, what do you think what are the implications of this cost, the hike in the cost of cocoa for the end consumers?
Thank you, Judy, for that question. It's simple. The implication is that cost of chocolates will go up. There's no two ways about it. Cost of chocolate and cost of the byproducts for cocoa will go up. It's simple. The Ghanaian government is saying on the health side, pests and the likes have damaged a lot of crops. So the yield for the next planting season or the next harvesting season won't be as much as most is expected. But on the other hand, the Ghanaian government has also increased, the cost of buy cocoa directly from the farmers, and because they have like a plan in place. Their plan is to buy as much cocoa as they can buy from um, cocoa farmers, then go to the international market and say, we have this number of cocoa, we have this size of cocoa. Can you give us a loan as against this cocoa? So you know that we can pay you with this cocoa, you know. But the reason why they increase the cost for cocoa is because there are other private buyers who are actually paying premium for this cocoa. So the Ghanaian government wants to get as much as it can get because they know the yield for the next season won't be juicy. Again, I was speaking to my Ghanaian friend, so he said this type of deal usually happens when election is around the corner. But before we even go to the election part, the cocoa for loan deal is not new. It's not new. Even Nigeria had oil for loan deal. We subjected some of our oil I would took some money against it for a number of I think till the end of this year. We also saw something like that happen. South Sudan is also trying to close a deal, an oil deal with one of the Arab countries and pledging oil till I think 2043 or so, 2034, I can't remember, for $12 billion. So Africans keep making the same type of mistake over and over and over. Ghana, that we like to call our brothers, should be learning from Nigeria's mistake. This loan for cocoa deal, loan for oil deal would not work. Would not work. So I expect that they should have learned some of these mistakes that Nigeria have made instead of going back to do the same kind of deal. Because the reason why Ghana is in a mess, a financial mess at the moment, is because of they discovered oil and they were so excited about it. So they went to the international market and said, "Oh, we have this oil. Give us loan, so we'll pay you back with oil." But the output at the end of the year was a mess. So they couldn't pay back their loan. They had to call in the IMF. So they currently have some IMF programs running, and they need money from every corner. Cocoa on the other side is not what the government is. It has dropped. Cocoa used to be one of Ghana's biggest revenue back then, but cocoa is currently, I think, number four. Even tourism in Ghana brings in more revenue than cocoa. So the government is not paying so much attention to cocoa as it used to do. They got oil, they got gold. Tourism is number three in terms of revenue for Ghana. Then cocoa comes in at number four. Aside these first three, it's easy to make this money. Cocoa actually takes time to process, to plant, to harvest, get the byproducts and sell it in the international market. So the government is not putting in so much investment into it anymore. So it was the same thing that happened in Nigeria too, in the early 60s. in the southwest and some part of some part of southern Nigeria where cocoa was one of our major source of revenue. Until we discovered oil and everybody began to gravitate towards oil and left cocoa. Most of those cocoa farms in Nigeria now have been sold to real estate developers. So Ghana is also in this kind of situation. I think they should learn from their big brother Nigeria.
Okay. So I know that there are other factors that are actually causing the hike. One of which is land grab by miners, as well as the devastation caused by mining. The chemicals they use in the mining process has also destroyed the land on which cocoa is planted and killed crops. Now, are you aware of anything the government is doing to, assist farmers in this issue, as well as in disease control? Considering that Ghana and Ivory Coast are the major suppliers of cocoa worldwide, do you also think that importers and manufacturers of chocolates, for instance, have a role to play also in assisting farmers in disease control?
Thank you, Judith, for your question. I'll take it from the first side of it. Is that, and I also want to connect it back to what I said initially about government not really taking the cocoa business serious anymore like it used to. Now, and I also mentioned that mining as oil, gold have also been number one and number two on Ghana's revenue. So there's this connection to say that because the government really do not care so much about cocoa farmers, it then makes sense that the miners are ravaging, the farmland, because mining brings in more money now than cocoa. So I don't think somebody will come and grab your land, and an outsider, a foreigner, without having a backup within the government. So we need to understand these things very well and how these things are playing out. Some of the chemicals they use is killing the farms and killing the cocoa. Yes, government should have come in to do this, but because cocoa has been relegated or is gradually being relegated, that is what we're saying mining activities, destroying farmlands, and the government isn't really doing so much about it. Now, if we talk about the cocoa importers and the likes, of course, it is their own business. Government can always diversify investment at any point in time. But for an individual or for a group of people who all their life this is what they've been doing or this is what they know how to do and they've not decided to even diversify, when the government is not doing anything about it, it means they're about to being run out of business. They're about to be jobless. So they should do all what it takes to make sure that their business survives. If they have to invest, they should look for money and keep the cocoa business going. If they have to partner with whoever they need to partner to tackle the issue of land degradation and the likes, they should do that, because if the government doesn't come through for them, their own business and their livelihood is at stake. So they need to probably campaign, protest, and call the government's attention to it, because farmers in Ghana represent quite a huge number of voters. Cocoa is a big thing in Ghana, so a lot of people actually got into the cocoa business a long time ago. It became like a family business. I hear that every election period, government comes up with such type of policy to say, oh, we're going to increase the cost we'll be buying cocoa from you, so that we can resell or so that you people can make more money. But politically, it's more like a campaign promise. It's more like soliciting for votes, because they know a lot of cocoa farmers are potential voters. So every election cycle, they tend to bring up policies like this to be able to get or solicit votes indirectly from some of these farmers, because the farmers will look at it and say, oh, the government has done something good for me. They increase the cost I can earn from cocoa. So if they want my vote, of course, I will give them my votes. But again, if they begin to look at it very well and understand the politicking behind it, then I think they would know what they are faced with. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay, thank you, Stanley, for your insightful contributions to this discussion. I look forward to speaking with you sometime in the near future, once again, to analyze the different issues taking the continent.
All right. Thank you, Judith. Thank you for having me on your show.
And to our listeners, we thank you for joining us this Saturday to dissect the issues. We look forward to you joining us next week when we do the same. Thank you.